Okay, now we're going to continue our Bible stories about Moses. And this is when Moses listened to God and he went back to Egypt to talk to the Pharaoh about letting the people go. I'm going to read this book called Bugs, which is a really cute book, and you know I love books. And Lois and Ruby are going to help me with the props for this book. So we're going to pause just a second and get set up, and then we're going to talk about bugs. It's actually the 10 plagues. One day, a man named Moses came to the king to say that God had said to free his slaves, and Pharaoh must obey. Old Pharaoh was too busy to listen to that plea, so God caused stuff to happen to make his hard eyes see. First frogs came hopping from the Nile, whose water turned blood red. They croaked on every windowsill and hopped on Pharaoh's bed. They fell into the bread dough and scared the royal bakers. They looked like floods of moving eyes that filled all Egypt's acres. Frogs everywhere. Around the royal palace swarmed clouds of gnats like rain. They flew in Pharaoh's ears and face. They really were a pain. The horses didn't like them. They swished their tails for hours, but the gnats kept on coming, raining down like summer showers. I don't like gnats.
Me neither.
Okay.
Are gnats mean?
No, they're just annoying. They get in your nose and your ears.
Ew, and your mouth.
One day outside the window, Pharaoh heard a buzzing sound. Then clouds of hairy, red-eyed flies filled all the sky and ground. Brave Moses tried to warn the king. Those ugly bugs were coming, but the king called in his drummers to drown out all their humming. See the flies? Thousands and thousands and thousands of flies. I don't even like it when one fly gets in my house. Those flies, they landed everywhere. They sat upon the food. Then Pharaoh yelled and told the crowd, "I'm in an awful mood." The flies were in the soup bowls. The flies were on their hats. They buzzed around and filled the air. They even scared the cats.
But cats eat flies.
But every time that Moses came again to warn the king, Pharaoh laughed or looked away. He wouldn't do a thing. Then he heard a split, splat, plop, swoosh outside the window pane, and a gang of big green locusts came down like falling rain. Oh my, those bugs were hungry. They chewed up every tree, because Pharaoh didn't lift a hand to set God's people free. The streets were very slippery with gobs of bright green goo. So the shoemaker invented a locust squashing shoe. Ew. When Pharaoh went out riding in his carriage with gold lace, he kept the curtains closed so tight the bugs weren't in his face. Those locusts would have flown away in just about a second if Pharaoh had just heard God's word, and with it, he had reckoned.
But
Pharaoh kept saying, what did he keep saying?
No!
No! What could a man like Moses do to get a king to see that if he didn't hear God's voice, the worst was yet to be? Moses kept on knocking. Back to Pharaoh's house he'd go. But every time he warned him, that stubborn king said,
No!
No! Hail, big hail, not little tiny pieces of hail, big, big hail. Darkness, got dark over the whole land, and a plague of these sores, boils on all over their skin.
That's plague.
All because the king would not allow what God had planned. Back and forth poor Moses came with messages so clear. The king would need to change his mind or give up all that's dear. Now, the last thing that happened was very sad. his son died.
Daddy, because of
That
the
made
hail?
Well, he died. He got sick and died. A lot of people in Egypt died because the Pharaoh kept saying no to God. You can't say no to God.
Never say no to God.
That's right. But bit by bug, God's word got through King Pharaoh's heart of stone. He set God's people free at once with orders from his throne. He called Moses in and he said, "Go, get out of here. Take your people and leave." Creepy, crawly bugs and frogs had helped the king to hear. The words that Moses brought from God had made the whole thing clear.
So now you know the purpose of me.
There ends that story of Moses and the 10 plagues. Now there's a lot of squishy, ooey gooey types of bugs and things. The bad thing happened to them in this story. And I don't really like bugs, but I want to introduce you to a favorite bug of mine at my house. So we're going to pause just a second and move up there. I want to introduce you to Charlotte. Okay, this is Charlotte. And I don't really like spiders, but I like these spiders. They're not really bad spiders. They eat the bad bugs in your gardens and everything. And there's spiders like them. Their webs are so strong that people in African countries use them for fish nets. So God made spiders very cool, very neat, even though I don't particularly like spiders. But this is Charlotte. If you've ever seen the movie Charlotte's Web, you'll know why I call her Charlotte. Now, I've got a little tiny grasshopper here I'm going to try to throw up in there so you can see what she does when something gets in her web. Oh, of course it didn't work. Do you see it, Gideon? Grab it. It's actually easier to have it throw it up in there.
Wait.
There you go. Now. Oh, she didn't feel it.
She may not be hungry.
Maybe not. Usually she runs right over here and grabs it and wraps it up.
Maybe she wants a bigger one.
Charlotte, are you not hungry? Anyway, God made very special animals. And some of them are bugs and they look yucky to us, but they have a purpose. Everything has a purpose. You have a purpose. God made you very special and loves you very much. Bye, Charlotte.